Hello. Some of you have been asking about the alternate nostril breathing when we do a video on that, so why not? Alternate nostril breathing, sometimes called anuloma, viloma, sometimes called nadi, shodhana, essentially the same thing. We can argue about the hand position and things like that, makes a difference. Different schools of thought on it, but the essentials are the same. It is very much what it sounds like. We're alternating the respiration in both nostrils. So we're always starting on the left nostril. We inhale through the left nostril and then we exhale through the right nostril. Inhaling through the right nostril and then exhaling through the left nostril. So fairly basic, fairly straightforward. As we inhale, we're breathing up towards this point between the eyebrows, or slightly above the point corresponding to the ajna chakra, the triveni, the brahmadya. There's lots of different names for this area. And when we hold the breath, which we'll do between the inhalation and the exhalation, we try to focus on that point. So again, this idea of breathing up and down to and from the point between the eyebrows. Or some people like to even imagine it as if they're breathing from one whole side of the body up to that point between the eyebrows and then breathing down into the other side, a little bit like an egg timer, if we can imagine like that. And the narrow point of that egg timer then being the point between the eyebrows where we're holding the breath. Generally, we're counting on a ratio of 1:4:2. I'll go through a few different things this afternoon. A standard beginning kind of a speed is inhaling 4 and exhaling 8. If we're keeping with that ratio of 1:4:2, that means inhaling on the count of 4, holding the breath for the count of 16, and exhaling on the count of 8. Now, holding the breath for a count of 16 is quite a length, especially for beginners. So we could do it even without holding the breath. Now, different ways of doing it. What we tend to do here is we use what's called the Vishnu mudra. And the Vishnu mudra is the first two fingers, live long and prosper, the first two fingers of the right hand coming towards the palm of the hand. And then that gives us a little space there for the nose, and we're using the thumb to control the right nostril. And ideally the two little fingers there, if we can, just bend them, crook them a little bit to control the left nostril. So we can breathe back and forth like that. When we close both nostrils to hold the breath, we don't need to squeeze particularly hard, just the lightest closing. What happens sometimes when we're doing this is the arm tends to drift up. Now very quickly that gets very tiring for the shoulder, so you can avoid that. Keep the elbow down and it's not so tough on the shoulder there. If we do that, if the elbow drifts up, one of the things that happens is it gets harder to reach that left nostril, so we start to turn the head to compensate that, and then our head is off center. So ideally we're keeping the head to the center. Even when we're using the right hand, which generally we use, maybe we're right-handed and we're pushing a little bit more forcefully and we find the head tilting around to the left, so that's to be avoided as well. So 3 things there to keep in mind. Don't squeeze the nose too hard, keep the elbow down, and keep the head to the center. So I'll go through it just with the counting on an inhale and an exhale. So we're always starting with the left nostril by inhaling on the left nostril. So we can close the right nostril to begin with, exhaling completely through the left nostril. Sorry, you can do this if you like. And then slowly inhaling through the left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then close both nostrils, remove the thumb, exhale to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale that same nostril, right hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close both nostrils. And then exhale to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how we do it if we were working without the comeback. So that's really for beginners. Generally we're doing a comeback, and we can vary the length of that. So the comeback is when we hold the breath. When we hold the breath and when we're breathing in general, we're doing it all with the eyes closed. And again, we're focusing on that point between the eyebrows, particularly when we hold the breath. So we could do it with holding the breath for a little longer. So say for example we inhale 4 and hold for about 8 and exhale 8, that would look something like this. So I'm exhaling completely to the left before we begin, the eyes closed, then slowly inhale to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Close both nostrils, hold the breath, keep that focus there between the eyebrows. And then exhale to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slowly inhale the same nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close both nostrils, hold the breath, again keeping that focus between the eyebrows. And exhale to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can continue like that then. So that's quite a reasonable rhythm to inhale 4, hold for 8, exhale 8. That's accessible for most people. As we get a little bit of practice, then we can start to hold the breath for a little bit longer, for 12 seconds or 16 seconds. We can hold it by increments. One way to count, it might not be exactly accurate, is to focus on the heartbeat as well while we're holding the breath and counting the heartbeat. So maybe the average heartbeat is somewhere around 17, so not too far off a second. So if we count the heartbeat, especially when we're sitting resting, it should be relatively slow. That can give us a good counter. Another way is to have a noisy clock that ticks, and you can have that in the background and you can count the ticks. It can get a little bit annoying for some people, they don't like to work with that. But essentially if we're counting ourselves, what we'll sometimes find is the calmer we are when we start, the slower the counting will be. So sometimes we're holding much longer than other times. If we're a little bit agitated or whatever is going on, the mind is a little bit busier, often we'll find that the breath is a little more accelerated, so perhaps the counting is a little bit more rapid as well. Ultimately, we're trying to work up to holding for 16 seconds, and we could do half a dozen rounds. So one round is up and down and up and down. So inhale through the left, out through the right, into the right, out through the left. That counts as one full round. So you want to do about half a dozen rounds at least, 6 rounds, working up to maybe 12 rounds. Now, if you could do 12 rounds inhaling on the count of 4, holding for the count of 16 and exhaling on the count of 8 comfortably, and you could do that every day for about a month or so, then you can think about increasing it then, still staying with that ratio of 1:4:2. You could inhale for the count of 5 and hold for 20 and exhale on the count of 10. You could work that way. Otherwise, 4:16:8 is generally reasonable for most people, or even 4:12:8 or 4:8:8, or even as we did in the very beginning, without holding the breath at all. If in the beginning you really find it difficult to concentrate then. So there you go, that's a very brief explanation on the alternate nostril breathing. I hope that's been helpful for you. On the website there's a podcast, it's just an audio one, where I'm counting on the inhaling 4, holding for 16 and exhaling 8. So that's there, it's free, you can download it or listen to it online if you're connected online, and you can work with that. Okay, well thank you very much for your time. I hope that was useful for you. We'll see you again in another video.